there's a lot of porn performers, especially in LA, I think, that have kind of ascended out of porn and they've kind of transitioned to like social media stars and become more accepted. I
Right.
think, yeah, you're totally right. People look down on a porn star or like, oh yeah, I could watch them on my phone, but I would never date one. Like
Exactly.
they've been with look how many dudes she's been in gangbangs and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But what they don't consider is that probably any guy or girl in any nightclub in LA has probably been with 10 times more people that
Right.
were not tested for STDs
Right.
prior to having sex with them.
Right.
But it's the conception of the fact that you can see it.
Hmm.
You can literally watch it happening.
And to me, that's kind of like categorizing women into two groups. Like one is she's the wifey material, like she's the girl
Yeah,
you can date and bring home to your mom.
right.
There's this girl in porn, and you're like, no, 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 she's a slut. But still, again, as I'm saying, behind closed doors, you're still gonna watch her, you know?
Right, right.
So like that's being a hypocrite.
Totally.
Yeah.
Getting back to what I was talking about, girls that have like gotten out of porn, like they did it for so long and became so successful, they kind of like piqued interest of people like, oh, I have an Instagram or I have a Twitter. You can follow me on my own platforms.
Yeah.
And they've kind of like become social media stars and they make those OnlyFans accounts.
Yeah.
They kind of control everything. That's kind of like the way the media industry is going, I think, anyways, because people who are creating their own content now and being like they own their own stuff and they're able to monetize it
Yeah.
their own way instead of being a slave to some porn producer or porn agent that's just
Yeah.
sending them across the country to go live in some producer's house for a week, while they have to shoot 10 porn videos.
Yeah. For sure. I think that's another, that's a direction we're headed for sure. But I wouldn't count out the shitty producers and the amount of people that will still be attracted to that. Because you're still gonna have people who are not, they're not able, or they're not, they're in a desperate situation. They don't have time for Instagram. You know what I mean? So it's like, to many people, it's actually about survival as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see, to some extent, we're gonna see that happening for sure, more and more. Yeah.
And when you talk about what do you mean when you talk about aggression or violence in porn? Do you think that's something that is like ramping up or getting more prominent?
I mean, if we're gonna look at the studies that we have, we've kind of seen that trend for years. It's not really, aggression in porn is not that new. I wouldn't say that. But yes, I mean, of course, it's gonna be like, I've talked to producers explaining to me that they get bored. This one guy was like, yeah, like, of course we're gonna, look at like how extreme can we make it, because like it's not only the consumer that gets bored, we get bored as well. So yeah, but like when it comes to aggression in porn, it's a thing, and it's very like going back 15 years, the aggressive porn would have been like the strange porn, like like the dark web porn kind of, but now that is mainstream. So I would say like that has kind of shifted. Like what has shifted is it's just the acceptance of aggression in porn, and the fact that now we don't even think of slapping someone or pulling someone's hair as aggression, really. That's just part of porn. So like, the boundaries are constantly being pushed, but they're also constantly being
blurred.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's almost no boundaries anymore. It's like blurred lines in between both.
For sure. Yeah. I think there was a quote from a porn producer saying that the only thing left to do to women in porn now is just, killing them. Like we've done it all. Yeah. And there are porn on that too, snuff porn. That's a thing too.
Yeah. What is it? Wasp, after they mate, the female eats the male. That's next for humans.
Yeah, I guess. like the spider.
Oh, the spider. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yes. The widow. Yeah.
I mean, if it's one thing, if it was, I mean, porn is legal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drugs that people use because they're hard to get and they're illegal, and it becomes more of a desirable thing because it's harder to get. Porn's not hard to get. Everybody can get it. So it's interesting why there's still such a problem with people being addicted to it. But there's no real alternative. There's nothing else like it that you could say is healthy.
Right.
Or isn't bad for you psychologically.
Right. Exactly. And that's, I would say like the whole, like the existence of porn, like to the amount of, that we do see today, I would say that is really like a slap in the face to any, any country lacking sex education. Because what we do see in studies also is that kids and youth tend to look for porn when in fact what they're looking for is facts. They want sex education.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a signal to all of us to step it up when it comes to sex education, because the situation we're dealing with now is that we don't sex education is really like this. It's not really it's not the same. Like if I look at Sweden, it's like we have some parts of Sweden who is doing a really good job, and then you have other parts who aren't even talking about condoms. So you know what I mean? It's very Russian roulette when it comes to sex education. And I think that really leaves kids and youth alone with porn as the only sex educator. So that's when we got to ask ourselves, okay, so if this is our sex educator, if this is our teacher, what kind of what mission does this teacher have? What's the purpose? What curriculum is this teacher using, and so on. So yeah.
The problem is there is no goals or anything. It's all about just more and more money for them.
Exactly. Their goal is not to provide kids and youth great sex education. That is not what most porn producers are about. They're about the money, as you're saying.
And another thing to consider is that a lot of young people, probably mostly young girls, look up to people like Pam Anderson or Carmen Electra as like, oh, look at them now. They're celebrities, right? Like they're big shots now. They're not porn stars anymore. So I could just be a porn star for a few years, and then I could have the goal of being like Pam Anderson one day.
Yeah, for sure. And that also, I mean, that's that also I think speaks to where we're at today when it comes to the normalization of porn, because it really is so, right next to mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
I think it used to be more separated, but now it really is transitioning from porn to mainstream media. It's not that hard.
So what's the answer to this, Maria?
You tell me.
What is the answer?
What is the answer? As I'm saying in my TEDx talk as well, I'm really all about like education and conversation. I think that is just key. Like if we get to have a conversation and be critical and really like look at this from a fact point of view, I would say that is gonna bring some solution to this, because I do think like getting people aware will then enhance your ability to also make an informed decision. So, I mean, I'm not gonna, and I can't do that. I can't go into your bedroom and be like, I'm gonna stand here and watch and make sure you don't use some porn, and I'm gonna be there all night. Like, I can't do that. So, and I don't want to do that. So what I can do is I can provide you with the facts, and then it's up to you. Do you want to continue to use porn? Then fine, go ahead. Or do you want to like consider these facts and, make an informed decision? But yeah, so I think facts and education is key. And to really like bridge the gap between the adults, like how, parents are thinking about this. They perhaps, some are very aware and some are like, no, my kid is 15 and he or she has never even like kissed someone, like the gap is perhaps too big sometimes to kind of bridge that. And then the sex education in school we need to step that up for sure. And then I would say and I'm doing that, and I want to do that more, to actually connect with people in the industry to actually see what are the pull factors and what are the backgrounds and what are the reality of porn.
Yeah, I think the younger years, the hardwiring years, I think are the most important years and it's big. A big part of the responsibility has to go to the parents on it too, because a lot of parents, they just are lazy, or they don't. If it makes them uncomfortable, they're gonna resort to being lazy, and they're just not gonna do anything about it.
Right. And I mean, I think we can kind of like, I can identify with that. Like, if something isn't comfortable, obviously it's gonna, like, my brain wants to opt out of that task or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, this is gonna take an effort from all of us for sure. But I actually think, like, equipping parents with facts and getting them to really understand, like, okay, so first, my kid is going to see porn, maybe not tomorrow, but perhaps
Right.
like, that is going to happen, to, like, that reality check of it, and then also to equip parents to, like you're saying, like, to dare to have that conversation.